And we are back with episode 1 of the 49 Mercury build. I am calling this build Marbleous Merc, a little play on words there. And I am assuming from that name you can probably guess why I named it that, because we are doing a marble paint job on the body. I had been planning to do this for a long time. The marble paint job is not anything new. That's been around for a long time. It's a fairly simple process. They've been doing it on one-to-one cars forever. This is kind of a shrunk down process of that process, actually. And there's a couple ways you can do it, but I'm going to kind of do this ass backwards. I normally show you everything, pretty much, the engine, the interior chassis work and paint and all that, and then I show you the body towards the end or whatever. But we're going to do it backwards this time. I'm going to show you the paint work up front, just in case you have questions or whatever, and you want to put them in a reply or private message or email me or whatever. There's other people out here who've done that on YouTube, and it's certainly nothing that I thought of by any stretch of the imagination. Basically what you do, at least for the one-to-one car, is you put your base coat down, generally black, or you can actually do any color, but it generally needs to be a darker color, because you're going to come back over the top of that with a light color, usually silver or a silver metallic or a white, a pearl white, something that's hot. It's a highlight color. You could probably do yellow. You could do anything contrasting the dark base coat. At any rate, on the one-to-one car, you come back after you get the base coat down and it dries. You come back with your highlight color or your silver or whatever color, and on the one-to-one car, you pretty much have to work with someone, and you have to do it pretty much one panel at a time, like say the hood, the roof, maybe one panel or one side, and then the trunk deck and what have you. And the reason why is because once you lay down, you start, like say you want to start with the hood, you put your highlight color down fairly wet, and then you stretch out the saran wrap or the equivalent thereof in big rolls of it, and you have to have someone there with you fairly quickly to stretch it and then let it fall down on the wet highlight color. And that's why I say you need somebody there with you to help you unroll, because you're going to be using like restaurant size rolls of saran wrap to stretch out, and you want to do it before your highlight color dries. That's why you put it on really wet, and you let the saran wrap just settle. And if you've ever stretched out saran wrap and just dropped it on a table or whatever, it wrinkles up and it leaves, wrinkles and crevices and what have you. And once it does that, you can tap it around a little bit and kind of maneuver it however you want to, and then you take that off, and what's left is splotches and it pulls the paint off of some of the black, and it leaves a marble looking color. Now what you do is you go over, once that's all done in its entirety on the body, then you come back with a candy color generally, or some kind of transparent paint, and it leaves a marble looking finish. Now on a model, you can do it that way on a model as well, but I have practiced this many times, and I have found that mainly it does better, at least in my experience, by just taking a piece of saran wrap and wadding up in a ball. It doesn't have to be a great big one. It doesn't have to be a real small one. That's kind of up to you. And you take your highlight color and put it down on a pallet or in a bowl or whatever, and you once you lay your base coat down, your black or your dark color or whatever color you're going to use, and let it dry, and then you come back with your highlight color. And in my case, I used Wicked Aluminum. No, I did. I'm sorry. I used the Quicksilver, Createx Quicksilver Fine. They make a fine and a coarse, which they use mainly for uh, putting their over the top of their black or whatever. And it's like a base coat for pearls or metallics or whatever. But at any rate, you put that in a container of some sort, or on, like I said, on an artist palette or whatever, and you just dab that balled up piece of Saran wrap. You don't want to get it real small, squeeze it tight. You want to leave some of those areas open, where the crevices and grooves are. You want to leave those open to grab some of that highlight color, and you just dab it in the paint. And what I do is take it, take it and dab it down in the paint, and then take it on a paper towel and just kind of get the excess off a little bit, and then come back over the body and just tap it along the panel. I do one panel at a time, usually one side, and then come back and do the hood, and then the top and the trunk deck and so forth. And you can maneuver it however. That method kind of gives you more control than like saying pulling a whole sheet of Saran wrap and just letting it fall. That can turn into kind of a muddled look sometimes, and especially if you go to taking your fingers and wanting to tap it around, because what happens every time you tap, you're leaving a dot, and when you pull that off, then you've got little dots of where your finger was of the highlight color, and that doesn't look good unless that's the look you want. I mean, that's fine, but so, and then you let that dry, and then I in my case came back with two candy colors, and I did kind of a fade and all that. So I'll show you. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and show you. And now I did the body with the hood on it, so I could get the continuation of the patterns from the hood down onto the body. But I candied the hood separately from the rest of the body, and I've got it on a alligator clip to itself. But I'm gonna show you. Here's the finished product. I'm really proud of this. I'm pleased with the way it come out. Now, as I said, this is all Createx paint, every bit of it, from base coat to, well, except for the clear coat, from the base coat to the colors to the highlight color to that's it pretty much. Now, this paint doesn't show up probably in proper colors as far as the tones under these terrible lights that I have. And I've said when I moved to this house I was going to get new lights, but I haven't done that yet. But they're not too bad. This room has a little bit better lighting than my other room had at my old house. But what we did is we put a base coat of the Createx black sealer, which is a primer sealer sort of. And then let that dry, and then we came back with the Createx black, gloss black base that they use for their chroming system. It's just a black base coat. It's not overly glossy. To me, the way I applied it, it kind of came out satin more than it did a gloss. I probably wouldn't use it for a chrome base if it were me, but that's just me. So, well, and then after that dried, then we got the Auto Air Quicksilver, which is it's like kind of like a highlight silver paint with fine. They have fine or coarse, and they may have medium. I'm not sure, but I know they have fine and coarse. The coarse is more for paint guns, and the fine is more for airbrush. And I use that for my highlight color. And as I said, I poured just a good amount of it on a paper plate actually, and wadded up my Saran wrap into a ball, and then tapped it into the paint. Then took that and then got just kind of not to the point of like you would do when you dry brush, not all of it off, but you get like the excess, the real wet, because what'll happen is if it's real wet and you go to put it, it'll almost run together. So you want that. you want those areas of the black showing through, there. No, back here I kind of got carried away and it almost muddled together, but, I went ahead and stayed with that. This side actually turned out a lot better. And went all over the body, the hood, the front, and the rear. And let that sit for 24 hours. And I came back, and what I did was this color, I'll have to get up close to you so you can see this. The top part down to this body line is the Candy 2.0 tequila yellow. And it's mixed with just an eyeball shot of the Grabber orange. The tequila yellow was a little bit yellowish for me, and I mixed just a little bit in there, not much. I would just have to show you. I can't even tell you how much it was. I just eyeballed it. And then we came down to about the body line, all the way around, you can kind of see it here, to about the top of where the trunk deck rolls over. And then we let that dry, and then I came back with Grabber orange, pure Grabber orange, and we worked from the bottom up. I wanted it pretty strong on the bottom. And now Grabber orange, if you continue to apply it, coat after coat, will almost turn red. And I kind of like the way that turned out. I worked my way up, and when I got to where I had worked down to the tequila yellow, I had my fan cap on my Pache Vision, and I pulled back, and I used the top part of the fan pattern to kind of fade in. Now, you can't really, I don't know, it's going to probably wash out in this close, but the trunk deck is a little more obvious. It's kind of a fade from the tequila yellow to the Grabber orange right in there, and you can kind of see the difference on the top. And I did that all the way around up to the body line, and I across the bottom of the front of where the grill fits in. I went with the tequila orange, and then around the headlights I kept the tequila yellow pretty strong, and then I kind of split the difference in the rear. And I let it sit for about 2 days, and then I came back with my usual clear of Tester's gloss enamel, and cut with lacquer thinner 50/50, and did about 3 coats, and that's the final product. I'm pretty pleased with. Let me show you the hood, how the hood came out, so you can kind of see. And this video is going to run a little bit long, but oh well. There's the hood. Now you can really see the tequila yellow in this, and I'll bring it up. That's it. Even these lights kind of give it an orangish looking tint because of it's just the tint of the light, of the color of the lights, the LEDs, the cast they put on that tequila yellow. But as I said, that tequila yellow is mixed with a little bit of the Grabber orange. Now you can see there on the hood. There you can see really, you can kind of see the fade line where I was trying to be careful and not come up too far, and I actually wanted to come all the way to the top, but I thought if I rolled over the top there, it would look more like just a marked line, you know what I'm saying, rather than a fade. So I just left it kind of like that, where you can kind of see the orange, and then I left it. It actually worked out kind of good because some black really came through right there, and it's almost a demarcation line. And my wife said, well, that looks like flames on there. And I thought, well, I didn't intend for it to, but it actually turned out, kind of did its own thing right there. So I kind of pleased with that. One of those little things that comes out you didn't intend, but you kind of get lucky every once in a while. So, and I actually, even for my interior, I decided to do the dash. And that was fun. Let me tell you, I took a real small piece of saran wrap and grabbed it with my tweezers and did that same process. Put the black sealer down along with the gloss black, Createx black, and then let it dry, and then came back with the highlight. I just dabbed a small piece, and then I was trying to remember, much smaller scale and much smaller pattern. So try to get it. Let me see if I can get it up there where you can kind of see it. Maybe it won't wash out too much. Come on, work with me. Focus. There we go. So we've actually got the marble pattern on the dash as well. Now I think it turned out pretty good, actually. I tried to stay away from the gauge fronts, and that was really a tricky process, trying to maneuver that saran wrap because it has a mind of its own. I wanted to go across the top of the gauge bezel itself without getting in it. So, but I thought it turned out. Pretty close as far as how it's going to look inside the car when it gets in there. So it's a pretty close match. So now this has not been rubbed out or anything, and it turned out there's no trash in it that I can see. It's a little rough on the top. Now I think what I may do, maybe just in the front there a little bit. I think all I'm going to do is the trunk deck looks fine, and what I may do is I may not put any wet sand to this. What I may do is come back with Novus number 3. That number 3 Novus is about as good a cutting formula as 3200, 3600 sandpaper. So I think what I'm going to do is just use that product, at least on the top anyway. The sides turned out smooth as glass. I'm not even going to fool with them. We'll come back with some Novus and polish this out. But I don't think we're going to do any cutting as far as sanding, wet sanding. I think we're going to leave it alone. And then come back with the Novus number 3 on the top to start with. And then do the number 2 over the whole body. And then the number 1 and finish up and with my top layer is usually turtle wax ice. And so there it is. I apologize for this going 17 minutes, but I wanted to give you the whole process and let you see kind of how it came out. And I'm proud of this. It's been fun. You ought to try it. It's well worth trying sometime. And I think it's going to look good on this car. We're going to do probably some wide whites. I'm not sure yet. I'm still up in the air on the wheel choice and what have you, but we'll know more as we get closer to the end of the build. So, all right. Sorry to take so long, but I wanted you to get a good look at it. All right, that's all for now. Talk to you soon. Take care of one another. Don't take any crap from anyone. See ya.